Hey guys, and welcome back to the J2O channel. I know. I put my hands up. I am sorry. I apologize. My fault. It has basically been a month since I last made a video. Um, it was obviously the Euros final between Spain and England, in which Spain won 2-1. We already know. A lot's happened since then in regards to my beloved Chelsea Football Club. You know what I mean? A lot has happened. And yeah, I'm sorry that I've not made a video in basically a month. But this is a new week. This is the week where the season now starts this weekend, and we look forward to it. Chelsea will play Manchester City in the first game of the Premier League season. So trust me, you are going to see a lot of consistency from me starting with this week and starting with today's video. Now, today's video is a very interesting one. You've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. I'm going to be analyzing and talking about our preseason as a whole. I have watched all of Chelsea's preseason games that have just happened. Obviously, the last game that we had of preseason just happened yesterday against Inter Milan in a 1-1 draw. We obviously had the US preseason tour where we faced the likes of Wrexham, we played Celtic, we played Club America, we played Manchester City, and we played Real Madrid. And also, we ended it off by playing at home back in England, back at Stamford Bridge for the first time since the season ended last couple months ago, and we played Inter. So we played 6 preseason games. I'm here to talk about Maresca and the system he's implemented. I'm here to talk about the standout players, what we've learned from the players, what we've learned from the manager, and what we have to sort of look forward to going into the season. And the main question of today's video is, are we ready? Are we ready for the season? Because I think a lot of people have different opinions on this. I think there's maybe a more one-sided version that's getting put out there a lot more. So we're going to be talking about all of that today. It's going to be very interesting. And yeah, if you do enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn those post notifications. And yeah, let's just talk about the preseason in general. Um, Now, where do we start? Now, one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to talk about every single game individually because we're going to be here for an hour. So I feel like I'm going to maybe pick out bits from maybe some of those games and sort of make my overall point on what I'm trying to say about maybe the system, maybe the players, maybe the tactics, how fit we are, how we've been going forward, how we've used the ball, how we've been defensively, and we'll just use examples from the games that have been played throughout this preseason tour. Now, let's start off with this. The fitness looks pretty good at the moment, and obviously that's what preseason's mainly about, which is why when it comes to the results, that is something that shouldn't be taken with it should be taken with a pinch of salt, the results that we've seen over preseason. I get it. We lost 4-2 to Manchester City, we lost 4-1 to Celtic, we drew 2-2 to Wrexham. We beat Club America 2-0, I'm pretty sure, or was it 3-0? I forgot. We drew yesterday 1-1 to Inter. We obviously lost to Real Madrid 2-1, but it probably wasn't a 2-1 game. I won't talk about probably the first 2 games in Celtic and Wrexham because we just started preseason and those games didn't really matter, especially the Wrexham one more so. The Celtic one, yes, was a little bit embarrassing, but there's so much I've learned from the players, the manager, and I think there's so many interesting things to sort of talk about in terms of which role suits which role suits like which player best, which player will play in certain positions of the field, like midfield, for example. What do we do with our best players that have just come back, like Cole Palmer, and how he gets used and stuff like that? Reece James and the inverted fullback situation, and how Maresca adapted to that yesterday against Inter Milan. There's so many things I could sort of delve into, but I just wanted to start on the fitness bit because that's probably the most important thing, and that's what preseason is about, getting your fitness up. And I think as the time went on, the fitness got better and better and better and better. Let's talk about the principles of Maresca's system and sort of the basics around it. The first thing I want to talk about is the pressing. I think our pressing, as time has gone on in this preseason, has gotten so much better. And I think the man that represents this the best is Mark Gu. We signed Mark Gu from Barcelona for 6 million. And in regards to the transfers, I'm going to be talking about the transfers later on this week, maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm going to be talking about the transfers this week because, boy, it's been absolutely madness. It's been absolutely crazy. But yeah, we'll get to that in another video. But Mark Gu, I think, represents why our pressing has been so good. I mean, I've been so impressed with him. He's been relentless. He's kept on going. He's worked so hard. He looks good on the ball. He looks strong. He looks determined. He looks passionate. There's so many good things about him, and I think the reason why I wanted to use him as an example is because obviously we press high, and to trigger the press, to start the press, your striker needs to be that example to start that press. And I think the fact that he's done that to such a T has been brilliant, and the rest have followed. Obviously, in the Celtic game, it was all over the place. It wasn't great. But in Club America, for example, our pressing was really good in that game. But it's Club America, fair enough. And I think against tougher opposition, like Inter Milan yesterday, I thought our pressing was really, really good. I felt like we caught them out on a couple of occasions in that first half. Obviously, in the second half, not as much because Inter was sitting back. We were 1-0 down, and we started to control the game a lot more. But in the first half, when Inter wanted to play a little bit, I thought our pressing was really, really good, man. So our pressing structure in terms of Gu and Madueke and Enzo Fernandez and all these guys, even Romeo Lavia was high up the field for number 6. So yeah, I must say it's been really, really good. And so that's been really great. And in terms of how we attack in general, I've liked the way we've attacked. I really have. I like the way we use the ball going forward. I like the patterns of play. I like the positions that Nkunku's been picking up in this sort of number 10 position, this advanced 8 position that he's been playing in Maresca's system. Nkunku's been used as a centre forward. Before, I think in this system, I think it's quite clear to see him as a number 8 in this system is the best role to him for him. He's gonna want to receive the ball, obviously with his back to goal, but at the same time not in a position where he's the striker and he's up against the centre backs, because when he receives the ball with his back to goal a little bit deeper, he can turn and he's got runners and he's got options to sort of link up with, try and create chances for. That's in Nkunku's game, man. Technically brilliant, you know, close control, good dribbling, good passing, wants to connect with his teammates. He wants there to be an understanding and a connection. Whilst when he was up front, for example, against Man City, he'd get the ball and there's no runners. And if he's going to play up front in Nkunku, in which he might do, depending on if we get a striker or not, we're going to need runners. We're going to need runners 100%. But him in that advanced 8 role, being able to link up with his striker and his winger and his other advanced 8, whether that's an Enzo or a Dewsbury-Hall, for example, or even a Cole Palmer, who, depending on how we use him, he could invert as a winger to be in midfield and they could link up like that. So I like the way we move the ball forward. I've liked Madueke this preseason. I think he's been a standout for me. I've really liked his sort of the way he just gets on the ball, touchline winger, taking on his players, wanting to make things happen. Crossing's been good. So I've been impressed with Madueke this preseason. On the left-hand side, it's been a bit dry from Sterling or Mudryk, although people thought Mudryk was bad yesterday. I actually thought Mudryk was alright yesterday, to be fair. So in terms of how we move the ball, the patterns of play, how we use our advanced 8s with Enzo Fernandez, with Christopher Nkunku, with Dewsbury-Hall as well. I remember Dewsbury against Club America, those underlapping runs that these advanced 8s are definitely going to make. The thing I love about this squad is, and one thing I'll give the sporting directors credit for, is the fact that this squad is not tailor-made to just suit a specific system. This squad is tailor-made to sort of play in different systems, play in different formations, because we have so many different profiles. We have so many different types of players, different types of midfielders, attacking midfielders, deep lying midfielders, number 8s, advanced 8s, box-to-box 8s. We've got wingers that are completely different. We've got centre-backs that suit so many different roles and full-backs that can do so many different things on both sides. And it's like, this is why for me with Maresca, for example, with the whole inverted fullback thing, which we'll talk about in a minute, it's like, I know he's not going to die on that hill because he's got far too much talent to die on that hill. When you've got Gusto and Reece James as your right back options, at some point, surely, and other people have said this, surely you want them attacking. Surely you want them out wide, making an impact in the final third, making those overlapping runs. And Maresca did that yesterday. And I think with Cole Palmer, for example, who's definitely going to be in this team, I think when it comes to the inverted fullback thing, in fact, let's just get into it right now. I think when it comes to inverting a fullback, I don't think we should invert a fullback if Cole Palmer's on the pitch, starting out as a right winger. Because Cole Palmer as a right winger is pretty good. And this narrative that playing him as a touchline winger would just waste his talent and he wouldn't be so good, I think is BS. Of course, he wouldn't be as good, but if you want to maximize Cole Palmer and really get the best out of him and want him to continue in his form from last season, ideally, you want him starting out from the right, but you want him tucking in, and you want our right back to have all that width to make an impact in the final third. And you saw that when he came on yesterday. And that's what I like about Maresca. He's not going to down this inverted fullback hill. You know, of course he's going to do it when he needs to, but a lot of tweaks, a lot of tactics is really going to depend on the profiles we play, man. Because like I said, if say Madueke plays on that right wing, he starts a game on the right wing, then I think we'll invert the right back. A Gusto, a James will invert, in my opinion. But if it's Cole Palmer, then I think you have to have Gusto at least at the start of the season because James at the moment has a setback and he's suspended. So let's just talk about Gusto. Gusto can just do the overlapping thing and make an impact in the final third. Whilst Cucurella showed yesterday why he's going to be important to the system because the guy was playing all sorts of different roles. You had him playing as a left centre back. You had him playing as a inverted midfielder at times. Then you had him underlapping. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, Maresca clearly has these guys doing different things because they're capable of doing it. It's not like Maresca, a bit like, you know how Sarri stuck to like one system very specifically and he wouldn't make many tweaks, he wouldn't make many changes. With Maresca, of course he can have his principles in terms of the back three shape that has to happen with the five up front, with your obviously a two advanced eights, your two wingers and your striker, and then obviously you've got your potential inverted fullback or maybe just a double pivot, but you get the gist. You want the shape. The shape has got to be sort of like a 3-2-5-1, 3-2-4-1 type of thing, where you got your three centre backs, you got your two midfielders, whether one of them's an inverted fullback or one of them, or both of them are just midfielders because the fullback is just, you know, deciding to overlap, if you know what I mean. And then you got your four, in which two could be wingers. You could have Cole Palmer as a right winger, be in an advanced eight, and then Gusto takes up that right wing position to make it a four. There's so many different dynamics and changes and tactical ideas Maresca could do with this team. And yeah, I've liked the way we've moved the ball forward. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I think couple negatives to talk about. Defensively, we need to pattern up. And look, it doesn't surprise me that defensively we've been woeful because with the Maresca's system, with the amount of bodies we throw forward, and the fact that this system's not easy to learn, there's going to be times this season where we're going to be susceptible to counterattacks. The transitions against us are going to be nasty. Get ready, guys, because some of the goals we're going to concede on the counter are going to be nasty to watch. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be enjoyable. And it's going to be from loads of different things, whether it's we were attacking them and there's too many bodies thrown and there's a counter-attack and it's literally four of their players against three of ours, or it's a situation like the Man City game, for example, where, you know, Caicedo loses the ball in possession when we're trying to build up. Man City take advantage of that. Boom, they get a goal. In order for this system to work, you need elite defenders. And unfortunately, none of our defenders are elite. Buddy Shield's not elite. Colwell's not elite. Wesley Fofana's not elite. Tossin's not elite. Chalobah is going to go anyway. It's not elite. So you need elite defenders and you need defenders who are very, very quick. Which is why I go to Wesley Fofana, for example. Wesley Fofana has world-class potential, but the injuries have hindered him, and we don't know if he's the same player. We don't even know if he's as good anymore. We're going to see as time goes on this season. I'm going to give him at least 6 months to really get used to the football again. Hopefully he doesn't get injured within that time frame. And then let's see where his level is really at. We're not going to really know Wesley Fofana's level for me until we're about 6 months into the season. Can't forget, he's been out for a year. But the reason why I mention him is because he's got world-class potential. And I think for the way, if this system is to work on a defensive point of view, he's got to be on his game because he's got the recovery pace. That's one very important thing. In a system in which you're leaving a lot of bodies forward and there's not many guys at the back, you need someone who's quick. You need someone who's got pace. And Wesley Fofana has pace. Wesley Fofana has that pace. So we're just hoping that he gets better and better, because he's not had a good preseason. Cole's not had a good preseason. Neither has Badiashile. Reece James, with the whole inverted fullback thing, he can obviously do it, but I think he needs a little bit more time to do it. So that's that with him. Gusto's been good in this preseason, so yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting to see how Maresca, deals with sort of the profiles. Because let me just say this quickly, right? I think there's certain matchups that work, and then there's certain matchups that don't. We've seen Wesley Fofana play as a centre back. We've seen him play as a right centre back. The same goes for Tosin. We've seen Tosin as a right centre back. We've seen Tosin as a centre back. We have seen Cole as a centre back. We've seen Badiashile as a centre back, and we've seen Cole and Badiashile as left centre backs. As far as I'm concerned, right, depending on which fullback inverts, there are players that should play and there are players that should not. Let me give you a simple example. If Reece James is playing and he inverts as the midfielder, he inverts from fullback to midfield, for me, Wesley Fofana has to play as the right centre back, because he's better and more comfortable at defending wide areas than Tosin is. But if it's Cucurella who is inverting, and Reece James, for example, or Gusto are the right centre back, then for me, Tosin has to be the centre back, because Tosin is better at defending the box better than Fofana is, and he's more comfortable as a centre back, and his build and his profile suits that role a lot better than it does Wesley Fofana. Just like Wesley Fofana as a right centre back suits him more than Tosin, because Tosin I don't think is as good defending wide areas as Fofana is. And it's the same with the left centre backs that we have. Colwill as a left centre back, Colwill as a left back, forget it. He played left back in a couple preseason games. It doesn't work. He doesn't feel comfortable out there. He doesn't feel comfortable defending wide areas. You saw it last season when Poch was playing him there. He was getting cooked for fun. He's way better as a centre back. You saw him as the central defender in the back three. So much better. So much better. And Badiashile as a centre back, I'm not a fan of it. He's better as a left centre back. So, in previews, I'm going to really give you my predicted lineups and who inverts and who does what and which player plays where and stuff like that. But defensively, we need to do a lot better, because we don't look sharp, we don't look concentrated, we don't look like we're on it. And in a system in which you can get exposed very, very easily defensively, we need defenders that are going to be on it, because it's simply not good enough what we've been doing defensively in this preseason. I thought it was better against Inter Milan, though. I thought it was a lot better against Inter Milan. And yeah, from that point of view, fair enough. I think when it comes to the build-up and stuff like that, I think it's gotten better as time's gone on. Obviously, it's going to be a struggle at times. It's why we even conceded. I'm 50-50 when it comes to the way we build up. Not in terms of whether I'm happy with it or not. I am happy with the idea of it. But in terms of the results, it's a 50-50 thing, because our build-up is some of the reason is the reason why we've scored some nice goals and we've created some nice chances in pre-season. You saw it in the game against Club America. You saw it at times against Manchester City, even though we went 2-0 down. But then again, you saw the build-up is also the reason why we conceded some goals, because we were sloppy in possession and we were not quick enough with our feet. So it's a 50-50 one in terms of we'll get better as time goes on, because we have the centre-backs for it, and we definitely have the midfielders for it in Caicedo, who is not 100% fit. I think he needs a little bit more time to build up his match fitness. But we have that in Caicedo. We have that in Lavia, who, by the way, Lavia, best player in preseason. And I think he's probably going to be one of the first names on this team sheet, because Maresca's worked with him. Maresca knows him. Lavia knows him. Lavia just understands that six role the best. And as much as I do think Enzo and Caicedo, for example, can play that six role very well as well, for this system, for what's needed, I think Lavia's defensive robust, and I think his intelligence off the ball, I think, is what separates him from Enzo and Caicedo, and that's why I think he definitely needs to play in this six role. I think he's undoubtedly a starter in this team. He has to be in this team somehow. And this is what I mean when I say who fits in the team, because I feel like from a defensive point of view, I have a good idea of what we're going to do, who's going to play. I feel like Cucurella's a must if he starts. If Reece James is fit, it's a must that he starts. And I think Fofana is a must that has to start a lot of the time, I think. Simply because of the recovery pace and stuff like that. And possibly Colwell as well. I think those four at the moment, I think for me, I think as the future goes on, as time goes on, I think that would be my ideal back four. The midfield's interesting. Who plays where? Who does what? You got Nkunku, Dewsbury-Hall, Palmer potentially for the advanced 8 roles. Does Carney stay? He's another option. And then you've sort of got your double pivot players, your ones that are going to be deeper a little bit, your ones that are going to provide the box-to-box roles, the ones that are going to do a little bit of everything, whether that's Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo. I think the only way we can fit all three of those in is if we do a situation where Caicedo plays at right back, like he did yesterday when Ogochukwu came on, and he inverts into midfield. That's probably the only way I can see fitting Enzo Caicedo and Lavia at the same time, because obviously he played Lavia, Enzo, and Caicedo against Man City, and Caicedo and Enzo were the advanced 8s, but it didn't work. It didn't work, and in a system like this, you need one of your 8s to be special. You need that Palmer, you need that Nkunku type of player. Do you know what I mean? You can't have a Caicedo, Enzo as your 8s, especially advanced as they are, because they're not there's not that spark about them, if you know what I mean. They're very good midfielders, top midfielders, but there's not that spark about them, if you know what I mean. You need that sort of difference maker in your Palmers and your Nkunkus, if you know what I mean. And then you have one of Enzo and Caicedo, maybe both, but you can't have both. And because if you have both, you leave out Lavia. And like I said, I don't think you can leave out Lavia. So we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, Enzo Maresca, I think the team are starting to understand his system a little bit better. There's positives there, but there's negatives there. I think the build-up's been better as it's gone on. I think defensively, we're gonna have a tough time. It's gonna be a tough watch at times, because maybe these defenders are young, they're not experienced enough, and they're not elite. So it's gonna be tough for them to really adapt and get used to the exposure that they're gonna have to deal with when we don't have the ball, when we lose the ball in a very dangerous area of the pitch. So yeah, let's just see what happens with that. And then from an attacking point of view, I see the potential there. I see the potential there with Madueke, with Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson. I think suits this team to a glove. I think Mark Gu has to stay, by the way, regardless of if we get a Victor Osimhen or not. I think he has to stay. I'm liking the potential with Dewsbury-Hall as well, who's like he's an all of a jack of trades type player. I'll explain that in another video soon. So yeah, overall, it was a preseason that we learned a lot in terms of the system, the build-up, defensively, going forward, how we move the ball, in terms of which specific role suits the players the best, in terms of the defenders and in terms of the attackers. And the question is, are we ready? I'm going to end it on this. I don't think we're ready, simply because defensively, we've been poor. It's not been good enough. And I think going forward as well, as much as we've moved the ball well, as much as the build-up's been nice, and as much as we've created chances, we've not been clinical yet. So I think the start to the season is going to be a little slow. I think in order for us not to drop too many points, I think at the start of the season, maybe the first 5 to 10 games, we're probably going to need a bit of individual brilliance from our players. We're going to need that special magic from a Palmer, a Nicholas Jackson, Christopher Nkunku, a nice pass from Enzo Fernandez, a great cross from Malo Gusto, a moment of brilliance from maybe Madueke, an impact from Mudryk or Sterling if they stay. I don't think the system's going to system, if that makes sense, in the first 5 to 10 games. And that may be an issue because we may drop a lot of points from that. But if we don't want to drop a lot of points from that, this team's going to have to be clinical and it's going to have quite a lot of luck. I can see the team starting to flow and play really well and understand the system to a T at about November time, round there. I think it's going to take a couple weeks, maybe months, for everyone to really get this system, going, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's been a long video, guys. I'm back again. We're not ready for the season, but it's going to take a couple weeks for us to really get going and understand the system. It's not an easy system to learn, guys. And this is a young group of players. And considering, the system Poch had them playing last season, which was nothing, to now Maresca, where everything's tactically, these guys are young. They've got a lot to learn. They're not experienced at this type of thing. They've not had to go through this dynamic, this sort of change before. So it's going to take a little bit of time for them to get used to it, which is why I see us starting the season a little bit slow. But I just hope individual brilliance just wins us the first couple games that we play. Because I can't see it being the system right now, at least, anyway. Just because the players don't fully understand it yet. But they're getting there. So, yeah, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think about preseason. Are we ready? Are we not? Tell me what you thought about the way we attack, us defensively, the build-up. Which player stood out to you? For me, Lavia was a standout. Madueke was a standout. Margu was a standout. Give me your disappointments. Obviously, you could say all the centre-backs, obviously. And even the goalkeepers, which I didn't talk about. Oh, no, let me not, don't even get me started on that crap. But yeah, guys, if you did enjoy this video, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts down below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow or Wednesday for a brand new video. Peace. I'm back, baby. I'm back.